Hello and welcome to The Breathing Room. I'm Rita Date, your host. I'm a health writer, nutritionist, and yoga and meditation coach. On this show, we talk about M&M, Mind, Nutrition, Movement. You're going to find practical information, all backed by science. Stay tuned. So welcome, Dr. Chothe.
Namaste.
Such a long and illustrious things you've done through the years. So let's talk about your journey. You are an Ayurvedic doctor, and how did you come into this yoga space?
Yes, this journey had many factors. Like when I completed my master's into public health and yoga, that is called as Swasti Yoga in 2014. So by that time I had a great amount of inclination into yoga compared to public health. And exactly that was the period when there were a lot of changes that happened in our country. We had the governmental change at the national level, and that was the time when the Ministry of AYUSH was formed. Now, what is AYUSH? For now, many people are aware about it, but India is the only country in the world which has a dedicated ministry for yoga and its traditional medicine. So in 2014, this ministry was formed. Earlier, it was just a department in the health ministry. So because it became a ministry, there were a lot of important things that started rolling out. For example, in 2015, with the United Nations, our Prime Minister taking the initiative, we had the International Yoga Day, and along with that, for the standardization of the yoga education, there was an initiative created by the Ministry and Quality Council of India, which became one of the benchmarks for individual certification and institutional certifications. And that's how, in this process, because I was a postgraduate with Ayurveda and Yoga as my specialization, with certain exams that I qualified, gradually I was selected as an examiner in this scheme. And along with that, for the second International Yoga Day, I was posted as a diplomat and yoga ambassador for Armenia for the celebrations.
So you went to Romania for that?
Armenia for the same.
Right. Yeah. Oh, nice. So now you've been there since the beginning. Can you just tell us 2015, right? This started. So how has it changed? I know because a lot of people were afraid to take the exams. Exams were difficult. You had a lot of hiccups. So can you explain to us how the evolution has been from then till now?
Absolutely. See, the same kind of question, similar question was asked even to the master Sri Ravi Shankarji, and at that point of time he had given a very beautiful quote. So he compared it, the analogy that was given is when you have your baby and the baby speaks the first words, mama and papa, you're very excited about it. You don't point out the mistakes of the grammar in what the baby is trying to pronounce. Yeah? So that's exactly, initially, the intention of this system was very important, and that's why it received a great amount of support from all the stakeholders of yoga. The important part was this scheme of certification for yoga professionals followed the standards of ISO 17024. And what is this ISO standard? It is for certification of professionals. So, according to International Accreditation Forum, IAF, where there are more than 100 countries, important countries which are a part of this IAF, they follow this credential system. And because this certification system followed these protocols, this became a very important kind of a benchmark as far as assessing the quality of the yoga professionals globally.
Okay. Yes, I remember years ago, the first time I met you, I saw the book, and I said, this book is not that easy to read. But you explained to me how difficult it was to get all the yoga masters together. I mean, how was that process, getting the Iyengar family with the Joyce family to Bihar to Sri Ravi Shankar? Can you give us a little background about that?
Absolutely. I feel necessity is the mother of invention. So it was during the time of Iyengar Guruji himself. that this idea was proposed by him when he was there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Iyengar Guruji said that if in the field of music, all the traditional music families, gharanas we call it as, if they can come together, and align, why don't we as yoga masters and professionals and different schools of yoga, because yoga is one, the paths are many. Why don't all the paths and the schools and traditions of yoga come together, align for the cause of yoga? And for his call that was given, all the yoga masters and the legendary yoga schools, which like the Yoga Institute, which has completed 104 years, Kaival Dham completed 100 years, all these old legendary schools and the masters all came together under the aegis of the ministry, the government of India, and this was taken ahead. And
where did they meet?
Absolutely, New Delhi.
New Delhi, okay.
And yes, they had a lot of inputs even from our beloved Prime Minister Modi ji.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Now, let's talk about the Yoga Alliance. That has been there for many, many years. People have said that it's just easier to get a Yoga 200, not just because, okay, you can pay and get it, because AYUSH, this certification has been difficult for people.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to that?
Okay. Yeah. So yoga also has a concept called as tapas, or in English we have this, if there's no pain, no gain.
Yes.
Yeah. So to have something which is a gold standard in the field of yoga, these kind of standardization mechanisms were created, so that the need for this certification was, with International Yoga Day, yoga becoming globally popular, people from different countries wanted to be associated with this movement of health and spirituality. And there was a high risk because of lack of coordination and standardization in the syllabus which was taught in the yoga schools across the world. And sometimes the idea of diversity was not well celebrated. So because of this, some of the students who tried doing practices under certain instructors and professionals did not get the same kind of experience. Sometimes they used to get hurt, and these yoga related injuries started creating a dent in the impression of yoga. And because globally everybody knows that yoga comes from India, India is the birthplace of yoga.
Not everybody knows that. You'd be surprised. Somebody asked me in the US, oh, do they do yoga in India? Because they're just so ingrained in their own space.
Yeah.
I was shocked, but we
also have this assumptions, because like in our neighborhood there's this assumption, like if you go to China and make a random kind of interaction with all those people who practice yoga, there's a firm belief that yoga was invented in America, because all the teachers who are teaching there are Americans or some from the West. So there could be these kind of perceptions, but most of the people across the world
do know
yoga is a Sanskrit word, all these things. So if they start understanding a little bit, they definitely come to know it comes from India. So that's why the Indian government decided to take this kind of initiative. Number one, to create standardization. As you talked about, all the yoga schools, they came up with the best of their best teachings, philosophies, and they combined together. It's like as we talk about in the mythological stories of Durga, how she was created with all the gods giving their strengths to her, and a most powerful deity was created. In the same way, the idea of the certification was all the schools will give the best of their teachings, so that a standardized syllabus can be created where people can step by step grow their practice of yoga.
So how does the government ensure these certifications? Like, what is the process of getting certified? Like, somebody is interested, where do they go, and how long does it take, and what is the process?
Yeah, very nice. So especially I want to make an appeal for the global yoga fraternity, that since a long period of time, as you rightly said, that alliance or these kind of bodies have been here for a long period of time, and the reason behind that is the lack of proactiveness of the Indian government. So because there was a vacuum, it was filled, but then everybody had this kind of deep sense that they wanted something more authentic, more genuine. Because the system that exists now in these private bodies, they are all, right from Alliance to all, they are private kind of NGOs, private companies. So it's not a federal system, it's not, no government is regulating these kind of agencies who are giving certification. So the stakeholders of yoga always had this feeling that this should be regulated at some governmental level where the experts of yoga are a part of this system. Okay, and that's why this became a very unique thing, because we had a dedicated ministry for yoga. Under that, we had all the experts who sat together and created this system. Now, why it became challenging is because previously the idea of yoga was mostly revolving around the physical movements and the exercises,
the
asanas, which even
even
was
today
more
is,
like
yeah.
Even the idea of asana of sthiram and sukham was not known, because sthiram is stability and sukham is enjoying that. So even the dynamism of the movements of the asanas was so much that even the idea of asanas was not absorbed. So that's where the government and these enlightened, these masters wanted to have, the body of yoga was spread globally, but the soul was missing. So to re-imbibe the soul into the system, this kind of process was created. Now, there had been a lot of changes. Initially, this was under the aegis of Quality Council of India to maintain these kind of rigorous standards. And then later on, it was handed over to an autonomous body, which is called Yoga Certification Board.
The YCB.
YCB, which is popularly called. So, what is this YCB? It's very similar when we send our child to a school. What do we check is a basic, whether it's a state board, CBSE board, IB board or something like that.
Right.
So there's a board, okay? And what is the idea of a board? The board sees to it that every history teacher in the 4th grade teaches the same kind of topics and ideas, which are similar. They have some coordination. It won't happen that if there are 10 schools of, say, CBSE board, all the 10 history teachers of class 4 are randomly teaching any random things of history. It's not like that. They are going through a particular system,
right.
Because they have a syllabus like that. So that task was given to this Yoga Certification Board. And the way when we go to school, class 1 to class 10, this is how we grow step by step. In the same way, the education of yoga was formalized in the form of level 1, level 2, level 3 and 4. And they have their names, like level 1 and 2 is instructor. Now, today the fun part is anybody and everybody can call themselves a yoga master, teacher, instructor. It's a lot of fluidity, But now there are designations. The basic level is a junior instructor is called as yoga protocol instructor. A senior level is yoga wellness instructor. Then you become a teacher and evaluator, where your role is like you are a professor in a university teaching the subject of yoga. That is the level of knowledge and skills that you are required. And level 4 is yoga master, where at a global level, how are you using yoga, its philosophy, to solve the global challenges? It could be climate change, it could be business problems, it could be geopolitical issues. So that's the role that the masters are expected to play.
Wow, a lot of things yoga can do, right?
Can do, absolutely. So that vision is there in this particular scheme, yeah. And so when people, the yoga enthusiasts and the students who want to make a career, they should not just look towards the syllabus or the certification, like just to achieve this certificate is not the goal of the ministry and the board. The transformation is the very important part.
Yeah, because in India, certification is very important.
It's important.
Everybody wants a certificate.
Absolutely.
So how would you evaluate like getting the first certification and your practical knowledge or your everyday practicing, teaching experience compared to that? Like, for example, there's so many schools, like, for example, Iyengar, they don't have any certification, but they have excellent teachers.
Yeah.
So how would your feeling on that?
Yeah. See, there have been always great teachers. And if those teachers were evaluated today, they would have definitely done great, because they were already great teachers. Now, this scheme is just to have a filter. The problem statement is you have a pool, like you have something called as adulteration. Now the thing is, you just have to remove the unwanted thing so that the genuine ones are not being done any injustice. So to find out those best ones, like for example, you have Michelin star ratings,
Right.
or restaurants and hotels have ratings. So there are some kind of standards with which these ratings are given, and then the business and the customers know where to go, and they are well informed. So these certifications will have an impact as far as career of those professionals and teachers are concerned, to make the world understand that they have a certain level of knowledge, expertise, and what kind of knowledge is for a normal Indian education system. Our passing percentage in a course could be 35%, in a graduation and post-graduation it could be 50% as passing, but you would be excited and to know that the passing percentage for both theory and practical for these yoga exams is 70%.
Okay.
So 70% is not distinction or grade, it's the bare minimum which is expected by these professionals.
Okay.
Because these are going to be professionals taking the heritage of 5,000 years of yoga globally.
Approximately how many yoga teachers get certification a year?
Yeah. So initially, because there were only 2 levels, okay, the passing percentage was around 25 to 30%. But now each of that level is again subdivided into 2. And that's why level 1 passing percentage has raised quite high. It has gone up to 80, 85 and plus also. So with good amount of studies, students who appear for the exam, they have a high level of passing percentage. And subsequently when you go higher, the exam standards become more rigorous, theory and practical, but definitely those who are aligned with the syllabus, because you have a syllabus. There are teaching institutes, like for example Swasti is accredited yoga training institute and a therapy institute. So in this way there are many training institutes across India and also globally also. So the whole list is there in the website of YC.
But in India, how many people get the certificate? Let's say level 1 certification, approximately.
Yeah. So right now there's a pool of more than 35,000 certified yoga trainers in India.
Okay.
Yeah, 35,000.
My next question is, what are the opportunities for? Can they make a living? What are the opportunities for these teachers?
Right. So, as I had said earlier, the differentiation factor for a yoga instructor or a teacher was very difficult, because it was based on self-branding, self-promotion, So it was difficult for a lay person who is a student and wants to learn yoga. It was very difficult to find out the right and the best kind of yoga teacher or instructor for him. But this certification has helped, because based on whether a student or people in the society, they can understand whether their instructor is level 1 or level 3 or level 4. It's the same like a patient who wants to know whether his or her gynecologist, for example, if she is a diploma in gynecology, OBGYN, or she is an MD, or she has done some other super specialization in the field where she
So the more certifications you have, the more opportunity you have.
Opportunities you have.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's interesting.
And that becomes a clear differentiating factor from the rest. And another thing was, in the previous schemes, the system was where the way you get certification is, you have to enroll into a school which is affiliated, and even if you enroll into the school, you will be certified. It's like
they have their own certification.
which is accepted. So it's like a surgeon. He gets admitted to a med school, that itself will make him a surgeon. Even if he is compatible, he has not given any exam, or he has not done any surgeries, nothing of that is assessed, but he will still get a certificate. But there are some surgeons who have given exams, who have done a lot of rigorous work, have done a lot of experience, surgeries. Now in a market where both these people are, if they are being labeled as same, then definitely the person who has an expertise will suffer, and he will always have this feeling that it's no point in taking all these efforts if you are being paid the same and treated the same.
Right. So, AYUSH certification, if someone sees that they should opt for that teacher, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rather than Yoga Alliance
see, the thing
is,
is,
obviously, because that's what you're propagating, and of course, you're working so hard for. So it's okay to say that, like, yes, this teacher has the qualification I would like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to add one more point, is the Indian government is working with World Health Organization to have similar standards like we have in India, the Ministry of AYUSH and Yoga Certification Board with the certification. Right now, global audience and yoga instructors can get certifications. But along with that, Indian government is through WHO is making these kind of attempts to create similar systems in different countries and continents. So soon, you will never know that European Union will have these kind of systems. America will have these systems. So till that time, Indian government will cater. But later on, each country will have their own systems.
Yes, you were just telling me about, you did Kazakhstan, and you have these AYUSH certifications in different countries in their own language.
In their own languages, yeah.
That is something. I mean, and everything is online.
Everything is online.
Can you explain to me or the audience, like, for example, I'm sitting in Canada or the US and I want an AYUSH certification. I'm researching yoga, how I should get certified in yoga. I want to be a teacher, or I just want to improve my knowledge. If I want AYUSH certification, where do I go? First I go online, and then what do I do?
Yeah, nice question. So the flow chart would be, number one, visit the Yoga Certification Board website. So in that you have a list of institutions. You can go to individual institutions website, try to study, have a comparative analysis, what works well with you, where you find your connect with, okay? And accordingly, you can choose your institution for your training, if you want the training. If you feel you have been practicing, you have the knowledge, you have your previous certifications and training being done, then you can try to study the syllabus. And if you feel you're competent, you have the knowledge, then you can directly go for examination. So there are two ways. One is training and examination. And the second, if you already have the training, pre-existing training, then you can just go for the certification examination. Now this examination is conducted by third party, which are called as PRCBs, personal certification bodies. Now these PRCBs will have the examination in the form of theory, which will be multiple choice question, where online the camera will be monitoring you like a proctored GRE TOEFL kind of an exam, 60 marks. And for level 1, and 140 marks later on would be a practical demonstration and Viva examination.
All online. This is all online.
All online.
Wow.
So whether you are in Chenchwad or whether you are in California, doesn't matter much.
Okay.
As far as your yoga training and certification is concerned.
Wow. And so this is for level 1 and 2?
Level 1 to 4.
All 4 of them?
All the 4. Everything is online.
Okay.
And along with that, the ministry also has yoga therapy certifications. So there is something which is called as assistant yoga therapist, and yoga therapy consultant.
Okay.
So these are the certifications which have recently been added.
And how are you promoting this? Because a lot of people don't know. Like, for example, people don't even know there's a certificate, AYUSH certification. It's only been Yoga Alliance. So
absolutely.
They don't know the alternative. So how are you going about?
Yeah. So one way is what we are doing right now. So thank you for being a part of this education movement. Yeah, I always feel yoga is there in India and globally for a long period of time. But what is missing is still what we call it as yoga literacy. Yeah. So it's the same like financial literacy. People have money, but they don't know how to spend it, invest in everything. So there is financial literacy programs that are going around. So in the same way, this kind of podcast is a kind of yoga literacy program where people will come to know about there's AYUSH, there's YCB, there's these kind of facilities which are existing. Okay. Second thing is Indian government through International Yoga Day, through its missions abroad, is promoting it to a great level. So for example, whenever you go to the Indian High Commission or say, for example, Indian Embassy website, you will have a column for yoga where you will have all the details about how to get yourself certified, trained and certified. The Indian government is having yoga teachers deputed in different embassies. So they conduct the training for these level 1 and level 2 programs also. So if you are in a capital where you have an embassy where these kind of programs are going on, and most of the time Indian embassy to promote yoga, health, wellness, and also as a building the bridge between the countries and the cultures, like a soft power. These kind of programs are really at very affordable prices, and that's where I want to make an appeal that if you have an Indian embassy in your vicinity, you are in the capital and it's accessible, please go and do the inquiry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might have a wonderful opportunity to get the training from yoga professionals and teachers coming from India, working in the embassy, and later you would be having the examination. ICCR, Indian Council of Cultural Research itself is one of the examination body, so which works globally in our Indian missions. So they conduct these exams for the foreign students in different embassies. So that's how in different countries you have these opportunities, global and locally. Definitely we have the AYUSH Ministry, under which we have state missions, state AYUSH bodies, which are promoting these in the form of conferences, in the form of fairs, and international yoga day events, so that more and more people are made aware of. And they're also creating employment opportunities. For example, yoga therapists and yoga teachers and masters are deputed to rural hospitals where they can prevent diabetes, hypertension, and all this kind of disease burden which is coming up. So these kind of opportunities are there. I myself had the opportunity to be a diplomat, and
yes, you traveled many places. Tell us a little bit about that. What was your favorite place, let's say?
Oh,
I think Mexico, right?
Mexico was nice, but many a times the first place where you go stays with you for a long.
Okay, where was that?
This is Armenia.
Armenia, okay.
Yeah. A very sweet country. And that was where in 2016 there were around 38 people across the country that were selected, and as diplomats they were deputed on short-term missions to different countries to monitor and supervise the International Yoga Day celebrations.
Oh, wow. So it's nice. We've come a long way. We've kind of, you could say, taken yoga back, which feels good, because I do, coming from the US, when I go there, it is mostly about asana. It's all about Lululemon and how you look. I think it's changing a little bit. Instagram, but we know the true essence of yoga, which is precious. So any final words you'd like to say?
Oh, yes. In our culture, there's a story about a deer who is always in the search of the most aromatic essence which the deer is chasing. That's called as hirkani. The aroma is something that doesn't make this deer sleep. Constantly it's chasing. But at the end of the day, when the deer is asleep, then it realizes that this aroma is not, what it's trying to chase is not coming from somewhere, but it's coming from its own belly.
Very nice. One last question. Where do you see yoga in 10 years? All over the world.
Yeah, and I feel the language of yoga is transforming. Earlier, in the last 100 years, yoga was translated into English. It was translated into international languages. Now in the 21st century, yoga would be translated into codes.
Codes?
Yeah. Because yoga is Athayog Anushasanam. It's a science of self-discipline, which was created back then for a human mind, to discipline a human behavior through the human mind. But now, the mind, its intelligence, from human intelligence, we are transforming to the machine intelligence, artificial intelligence. So, the need for yoga is rapidly expanding, and it is not only going to be limited to regulation of human intelligence, but definitely the next generation kind of yoga masters are going to be the ones who are going to help the large language models, or you can say the machines to have their own self-discipline.
Wow. Okay.
And that's where the next yoga revolution is going to happen in.
All right, stay tuned for that. Well, Dr. Chothe, thank you so much for your time and valuable insights. And I look forward to more conversations with you.
Yes. Thank you very much for the propagation. Namaste.
Hello and welcome to Breathe India. Why do I keep saying that?